Pat, I'm not mad at you, babe. Hopefully we can work it out. But I'm just letting you know, this ain't people's court, and we ain't in motherfucking New Jersey, so leave that bullshit alone.
What's up, guys? I'm Justin Swanstrom. Welcome back to Swan Talk. I finally got my dad in here to do a podcast with me. This is our third video coming out with the podcast. The first two did awesome. We are shooting a fourth one later on tonight. Amanda will be in, our co-host. She is actually working right now, so she's not able to be here at the moment. But I wanted to bring my dad on, and basically what this video will be going over is just talking about our season, what we did in NPK, talking about last night's episode. Everybody watched the Street Outlaw episode. Everybody got to see all the drama, everything unfold, and we're just going to go ahead and break it down for you, what happened throughout that race in Colorado, throughout our season, and also we're going to talk about our last race of the season, which was this previous weekend, where we ran Pro Mod at Bradenton Motorsports Park and ran a personal best. So first, I would like to talk about, what do you think about the Lexus? We got it from Cameron Johnson Race Cars. He built the car from us. We picked it up. We had very minimum time to test the car to get ready for the first race of NPK. Go off to win a couple races, have fun with it. Finished third in points. A lot of people already know that, but what's your take on Cameron building the car, going out? What did we have to do to be able to get it ready and to be able to run up front?
Well, I mean, the car is a great car. There's no doubt about that. Cameron and built a great car. There's some things that we've done this year that, we learned a lot, and we steady give that information back to Cameron. So moving forward, Cameron's building other cars. I'm sure he'll use some of that information to make his cars better too. But, that car's probably one of the best race cars that I've ever worked with, and you've had a lot of good cars, but when a car reacts to what you make it, you tell it to do, that's when you have a good race car. So in the years, I never could afford to build or buy a new car. Neither could you. So we always bought hand-me-down cars that are 5, 6, 7, 10, 12 years old, and we just tried to make them work. But at the end of the day, we raced as hard as we can with a lot of hand-me-down shit. And I always say you can only polish a turd so much, because at the end of the day, it's still a turd. So, having said that, when you wanted to build a new car, obviously I was against it. But I told you could do whatever you wanted to do. It was your deal. Back when you said you was running this full season, I told you that I really couldn't help you out, that you were going to have to fund that on your own. And, which you have. There's no doubt about it. You've funded your whole race operation. You've funded everything about it. And, I've watched some of the people on the internet, and they say a lot of dumb shit. I don't really reply to them because it's just dumb shit. That's what it is. But at the end of the day, you've paid your own way. You've paid for your car. Yes, you took the cars that me and you were partners on. You sold everything off. You took everything out of the shop, and, some of that stuff was mine too. But at the end of the day, whatever's mine is yours. Same thing with your brother. That's how parents are. So you sold everything off. I thought you were crazy. I'll be honest with you, I did. You had 2 complete race cars, and you fire sailed them, But at the end of the day, I think you had a vision, and it was probably a lot better than mine. And you built a car, a purpose-built car for no prep. And it shows. I mean, that's the real reality of it. You built a car that works very well. We had to learn the car along the way, but every time we touched the car got better. We learned the tune-ups on that engine. Every time we did something to it, it just got better and better throughout the season. We had a lot of problems through the season, at least through the first half of the season, from wiring to some blower problems, even the engine. I blew the engine up. The the thing is, man, people on the internet, they talk a lot of shit, but they don't understand what it takes to make a car run like that. And, you have to try stuff. You have to do stuff, and you have to try and find the limitations of whatever you're working with. If you stay with the same thing, even if you run good and you stay in that same spot, you get complacent. And when you get complacent, you're going to get outrun. Drag racing is you got a 50-50 shot when you go up there to winning that race between you and the other guy, no matter what. Don't matter how fast somebody is or how slow anybody is. I mean, we have been beat by slow guys. I mean, we have been beat by races that we thought we would win with no problem. Sometimes those are the hardest races to win, and they really are, because dumb shit happens. It's just the way it is. So when we set out this year to run that car, I said to myself that every time I pulled to the line, I didn't care who we raced. It didn't matter if we were going to run Kai Kelly, Lizzie Musey, Ryan Martin, anybody from 405. It didn't matter who we were going to race. We were going to run it hard. It didn't matter if we were making a test pass. We were going to run it hard. We said that we was going to race the lane and see what the track could give us. And I really believe in the end, because of the hard work and dedication that you did and the guys did, it enabled us to finish, third in the points. And, that shit's not easy, man. I'm not going to lie, man. That race was really hard on me. It was hard on the crew. It's hard on a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of, those racers, those families out there. I know on TV it looks all good, but the reality of it is that whole season was hard on a lot of people. And
there was times we couldn't even test because you had to run week in and week out.
That's correct.
When you go from one race, you would literally be driving. I mean, there was times that I had to fly home, but you would drive from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to be there on Wednesday, and then we would fly in on Thursday to race again, and we'd have to turn around and do it all back again Monday. So there wasn't times where you could test to try new things. So I thought there were some times where I would kind of go against you, as in I didn't want to change some stuff because it was working, like you just said, where you get complacent, and because it's running good at the time, you don't want to mess with it. But at the end of the day, you ended up making the changes, and every event we went to, we got faster. I don't think there was one event this year where the car slowed down, or other than when we went out west and we had the different air and everything. Now, the first race we went to in Idaho, we were garbage. We ran out of time. We were not able to change the converter and the gear set like you wanted to, which we went out first round against Murder Nova. But when we made the changes going over to Arizona, then we started running better out there in the west air. And then we went to Colorado. We even ran even better there. And then every race we went to, we got faster with the car. Just like towards the end of the season at Bradenton, we got faster. Then we went to Orlando and got faster. And then we just went to Bradenton again for our last race of the season and set a new record with the car multiple times and got even faster there. So it is very tough. But what was the most challenging deal with the car or the whole program, other than I already know that driving and going all those miles, that's hard. But what was the most challenging deal for you to be able to run the 15 race series?
Man, I'll be honest with you. I just think the whole thing across the board was hard. I mean, that's just being real about it. Being that long away from home at times, me, I'm passionate about whatever I do. I want to do it 100%. And if I can't do it, I don't want to do it at all. That's just how I am. I feel like, if you're going to do something, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And if it ain't worth doing right, it ain't worth doing at all. So, me being away from home and, your little brother being at home working and taking care of, the real shit that makes her survive. So that was always heavy on my mind. So if I wasn't home to where I could help him, or, things breaking down and, the type of work we do back home to make our livelihood. So that was always a huge stress on me. I'd be out west and, we're 3 hours behind time, but I know our guys go at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I would, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm up, so even though we're going to bed at 12, 1 o'clock, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning wanting to know what's going on. I'm texting back and forth with Tyler just to make sure he's all right. So, that was a huge, huge stress on me. I would drive. You guys would finish a race on Saturday night, and y'all would catch up. If we was there till 12, 1, 2 o'clock, y'all would have to go catch a plane at 6 o'clock to head home on Sunday morning, and so y'all wouldn't get no sleep. I think y'all would leave the track and just go straight to the airport, and you just crash at the airport so you could catch a plane because it wasn't worth going and getting a hotel. Me, I would get 2 or 3 hours of sleep, four hours of sleep, and I'd wake up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'd press out of the track. And there was times when I was leaving the track, I seen that all the real the superstar people out there, they're all still sleeping. They're hunkered down. Me, I
don't think they left till Monday.
Yeah, man.
Tuesday sometimes.
Well, a lot of times they stayed behind and tested. Mm-hmm. So, that's the part where we didn't get to. So we tested early on in that very first part of the season. The first 2 races we tested with Petty. We brought, you brought Petty on board to try and help us get going in the right direction with the car. And even then, everybody always asks, what did the car run? What did the car run? So the car went at 397 back then. We went at 397 at like 194 mile an hour. Am I right? Is that what it was? So when we decided we wanted to run the car on our own after the second race, nothing against Steve Petty. He's a great guy, man. If whatever we ask him to do, he'll do it.
He just needed longer time with the car.
For sure.
We only had him for the one day or whatever.
For sure. So we wanted to just kind of get going with our own program. And, we were running stuff that was different than what Steve was used to, than what he runs on all their stuff. So our stuff was a little different. We don't run, a lot of people don't know, but we don't run the same motor Ryan Martin has. We don't run just because it's got a blower on it, Pro Charger. It doesn't mean it's the same. In fact, weren't even running the same Pro Charger that Ryan Martin runs. We don't run the same transmission. We don't run the same converter. We don't run the same cubic inch motor. They're a completely different setup. I know everybody said, "Oh, you just copied Ryan Martin." Well, the truth be known, we didn't copy Ryan Martin. Everything we have was completely different. In fact, our engine is an NHRA legal motor. So, we just had a different setup. I mean, we had a different car. We had a different everything. So, like I said, we tested twice with Steve, went to 2 races, and in our test session, we could honestly say the car had been a 397 at like 194. And that's all the faster we have been. Me and you, when we got ready for that South Georgia race, I think me and you hauled ass to
House of Hook.
Darlington, or no, House of Hook.
We tried to go to Darlington and the weather and everything. We ended up at House of Hook.
So we ended up at House of Hook. Jerry got the track ready for us, and we unloaded, made a couple test hits, and we were, I think I went 411 on the first pass, and I had never been in fuel tech, so I didn't bother Steve. I didn't do nothing. Steve ran the car with his own computer, so I kind of had to do my own thing. So, I did my homework. I figured out what I wanted to do. We went 411 at like 190, and the second pass we went 405, and I knew you were disappointed. We went 405, like 193, and on the third pass we went same number. We went 3. I'm saying 3. We went 405 or 411, 405, and then we went 397. So we ran the same number. So we were right back where we were at, and that was moving forward. We headed to Georgia.
Well, we weren't chewing up Pro Chargers or none of that. We switched over to lockup, and because everybody kept telling us that,
because we were hurting Pro Chargers right out the gate. I mean, I think Steve got 2 of them.
Yeah, and everybody kept telling us that hanging the motor up high is what was doing them. So that's why you came up with the decision of turning the lockup on and allowing it to actually pull down the engine.
But learning also, talking with Justin Elks and how they run the NHRA, they hang the Pro Charger up there. It's all over the place, man. Who knows what it was? I mean, here now we're having pretty good luck. But we went into Georgia. I think we ran our same number to 397 right off the trailer. And then as we started running, I was tweaking and turning on the car. I think we made a 4-link adjustment in Georgia. The track was kind of shady, slippery. And we started getting faster. And I was overlaying data, and I think I told you, I said, "Hey, man, we're getting faster." I don't know, well, how much faster? I don't believe in that draggy, or what is that other thing?
The VPS sensor.
The VPS. I think all those guys should take those things out of their cars and beat the shit out of them with a hammer and throw them across the fence, because none of them are accurate. I've done heard over and over again how fast everybody is, and yet we went out there and outran them, and I didn't feel like our car was that fast.
By who?
It don't matter. But anyways, I don't believe in that stuff. What I believe is in a ticket. So if I have a ticket, here's how I ran our car. I ran our car on that 397 ticket, and I had that wheel speed. So if our wheel speed and our engine RPM was above that, if the G meter was, higher than that, I knew we went faster. How much faster, I don't know. I can't tell you that. But I know we went faster. And so we ended up winning that race in Georgia. But to answer your question about what was the toughest, I don't know what was toughest. Between working on the car, trying to keep the car running, shit falling off the car. We got out the gate early, and then after that, it just went to shit. I
think after Georgia is when.
So we started dropping cylinders. We were trying to run on 7 cylinders out there. We had wiring issues. We just had all kinds of problems, man. We had to go back to modern racing twice, put the car on the dyno. We actually crushed a Pro Charger on the dyno. We just had a lot of problems, man, and we fought through that, though. And I think because we didn't give up, and, of course, I blowed the motor all up, blew the front end off the car, blew the intake off it in Virginia, just trying different stuff. And I think if we didn't keep pressing forward and doing what we did, we would have never placed third in the points. Obviously, I wanted to win it. I thought we had a chance to win it. Ryan just kept getting that little bit more away from us. And, he kind of did it to everybody in the series. Ryan, that's what he does. When you guys are flying back home on Sunday to go to work, and I'm driving the rig to the next race, and then I'm catching a plane Monday to get back home to work, and then I'm flying back out Thursday morning to get back to the rig and get back to the race. It's just hard. We didn't have no test time. So the only place we could really test that, we tested the one time before Georgia, and then the only other time we tested was we tested at Tucson when we left Idaho. And me and you stayed behind, and we chose to test, because it was 3 weeks away before that race. So we went ahead and tested there. And so we made the changes that night when we got there. I think we left Idaho Saturday night, and we drove straight through Sunday.
It was 17 hours.
Yeah.
You did all the driving. But.
Yeah. So we got over there, and we tested, and we actually lost a Pro Charger at the 330, and we didn't have no more Pro Chargers. I think you'd already had 3.
So we only got to make one hit.
Yeah. So we only went to the 330, but it was a stellar pass. I knew we picked up, well, we actually ran really good, because I knew what the ticket was of what we had run from the 397. Then I seen that ticket, and we were in 6,000 foot of DA. So I knew we ran really well. I think we changed some stuff in the motor. We changed stuff in the converter. We changed stuff in the 4-link. We changed the gear ratio. So everything we changed, it made the car run good. And I think you went to the semifinals there. I think you went to the semifinals in Colorado.
Yep.
I think you went to the semifinals in Oklahoma.
Yep. Texas.
And then Texas, obviously.
You win it. And then semifinals in Louisiana and Bradenton.
Yeah. So, we just had a good season. The first half of the season was just such a rough season on us. Had we not had that real rough first half of the season, that points championship might have been a whole lot different. And, I do believe running next year that we figured out a lot of stuff and we learned a lot of stuff. I do believe we're going to be a different race team next year. I think also our team got a lot better through the year because we were pressed so hard and we had to work so hard and we had to work for everything we got. So, and we still ran up front with a lot of those guys with Pat's car and, Robin Roberts' car, Ryan Martin's car. We still ran there, although we had problems, but we were there. They knew we were there every time they faced us. So that tells me that we ran well. And a lot of times I felt early on when we were having all those problems, I really felt we were the fastest car out there, and I did. I looked at a lot of cars going on track. I felt like we had the car to win those races, and we just kind of shot ourselves in the foot. So that really hurt us. But at the end of the day, you can't take anything away from Ryan Martin. He did what he had to do. He ran good. He was solid all year, and he worked hard, and, it shows. That's what happened at the end of the year. He stayed out front, and he won the championship, and you can't take nothing away from him. He did a hell of a job. For us, we just got to go back to the drawing board. We got to work, and that's what we've done since the last race. I kind of felt like we shot ourselves in the foot there. It didn't matter. If Ryan got past the first round, he had the championship won. So at that point, we were going to try and win the race. but I really felt like the car needed a 4-link change. The car was doing some stupid stuff about 2 races before that. I felt like we needed to change the 4-link. Me and you were kind of bumping heads about it. It was just doing some stuff that I knew what it was doing, that I felt like if I made a different 4-link change that it would stop doing it. Well, we decided not to do it. I wanted to do it, and against my better judgment, I didn't do it, and I should have done it. So when we get to Orlando, we go over there, and I know everybody thinks, oh, well, they're trying to, qualify on Pro Mod. We wasn't doing that. We were testing. And I just want everybody to understand that. Everybody says, well, this is what some of the people on the internet, and there's nothing wrong with that. They just don't understand. So they say, well, why don't you just private test, Well, I'll tell you why we don't private test, because if you go out there with just yourself, I can assure you that track's not that good.
And it's $2,500 to run a track.
But that's not the worst thing. But, yes, I understand that. What I'm saying is, though, yes, you can get all the hits in. You can do this. You can do that. But even if you private test in a day's time, you're in a whole day out there, you probably won't get more than 4 to 5 runs, especially if you're changing things. Well, when we go to the Pro Mod race, we're there for 4 days. So if we're changing shocks or changing tires or changing gear ratios or whatever we're changing the converter, we got 4 days. And we most likely will make 3 hits each day. So I always like to test at a racetrack with other cars because I can get the best data.
They're putting rubber down, and the track is a lot different.
Some people say, and there's another thing I see, and I'm trying to answer some of the stuff that I see on the internet. Although I don't reply to it, it doesn't mean I don't see it. So some people say, well, why would you test on a prep track? Well, here's my theory, and it could be wrong, but it's what we do. I test on a prep track because I'm trying to turn it loose. I'm trying to run that thing as hard as I can. I'm not trying to have Justin wheel that thing from one side of the track to the other. It's easy to turn a race car down. I think it's very hard to take a car to an unprepped surface that's shitty and be trying to collect data and do different stuff out there because the car's slipping and sliding, doing all kinds of things. I would rather take a car that's really fast and go turn it down and go down that slip and slide and then start tweaking on it as I go rounds, as I get rubber down, as the track gets better, and try and make the car better. I see people that have tested, and
do you think they get spun out?
I do. I've seen people that have tested, even tested behind a track that we left that was good, and showed up to the next race and can't hit their ass with both hands. Like they're all jacked up. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because they've been down there and they tested on a whole different surface, and then they didn't reel the car back in, and they come out with that thing all amped up, and that's what happened. So, but for me, I do want to be on a good surface. I do want to test, and then I just want to pull the reins back on it and try and be safe and get an A to B run and figure out what the track's going to do. Look at my wheel speeds, look at my G meter, look at the shocks, and just see what the car's doing. And that's it. So, when we ran Orlando, we didn't even know if we would qualify, which we did, but that wasn't the purpose. The purpose we was there is trying new stuff. So
and it worked. I mean, we went faster, went 381. We tried to go 70s. We had a spark plug. The gap wasn't correct on it. I didn't gap it, so we basically went down the track on 7 cylinders. And then we ended up not being able to go our 70 over there in Orlando, but coming over to Bradenton.
Well, no, I think that happened before. What happened is we switched tires and we slowed down.
Well, that was the first round, but I mean, the Saturday night.
Why we didn't go? Oh, I got
we didn't
you.
go.
We went to 83.
We went to 80. Well, we went to 81, and then the pass that we thought we would go 70s, it went to 83.
Yeah, but it was on 7 holes.
It went down to 194 mile an hour. It just completely lost off, and that's what we found out. And then we went first round against Marcus, and we broke the rear gear, and it went to 89 against him. So we weren't able to accomplish that over there.
Which I don't know where the gear, the bearing started coming out. I think we didn't run it right. We tried a different tire, different wheel package, and I just don't think we ran it right. So, obviously when we got home, I was looking at data, and I told you, and I was a little disappointed because, one, I knew you wanted to run 200 mile an hour, and we did that in Orlando. I think you went just a tick over 200 mile an hour. But you wanted to go 70s, and we didn't go 70s. It didn't have anything to do with the Pro Mod race. I was trying to get you in the 70s because I knew you wanted to make 70 pass. Obviously, you've been way faster than that. You've been deep into the 60s with your other cars. But you wanted to take your no prep car and you wanted to run a 70 number. Didn't matter. It could have won a 79 with a 9. That's what you wanted to go. Well, we didn't accomplish that. So for me, that's almost like failure. I felt defeated when I left there. And I think driving the rig home, I called you and I told you, I said, listen, man, I said, I think the other tire package we're running right now, I said, I think that's what we need to run, but I'm a little bit in left field on that package. I said, just call Steve. And I said, listen, everybody else hires them. Everybody else uses them. There's no shame in my game. I said, let's just get Steve to come to Braden, and let's let him, in a couple licks, he's going to put us on the right track. I said, it might take me 4 or 5 runs to figure it out. So, and actually we made a 4-link change in Orlando, which helped the car, because when we showed up in Orlando, we were shaking. We couldn't even get on track. So now we did the 4-link change. We did our gear change, and then we tried a tire change right there at the end, and we just kind of went backwards. But so we get to Braden, and I don't know what happened. I don't think you ever – I know you had talked to Steve previously, but I don't think you ever went down to get him. And I was already looking at Dad and figuring stuff out, and I was like, well, let's go make a hit. So we rolled down there, and, man, that thing left out of there crazy. Because I know I'd sent you a text, goofing off. I said, man, if this thing goes, we're going 70s, 78. I said, it'll go 78 first rep. And you was like, yeah, right. I said, no, I'm serious. If it goes, it's going to go 70-something. I said, I done found areas where it was hurting on that 89. And I said, I'm telling you, it's going to go 70. So we went out there and made the first rip, and, man, it shook so violently. I mean, it didn't even try and go like 15 feet. It shook its ass off. So we come back. I looked at it. I doctored it up a little bit to try and just get the car to go. And we go out there and make another rip, and it shakes out there like 200 foot. It kind of rolled out there, shook. I tried, the thing is, you try to get some wheel speed on that tire and try and get it round. Because if you don't get it round and the car's accelerating, then it's going to run over top of the tire, and that's what makes them tire shake. It starts wadding the tire up. So the actual car is trying to move faster than the tire is trying to go. That's what creates a tire shake. And the tire will start waffling, and it'll actually jump up and down off the racetrack. So it shook out there about 200 foot. We got back, and I knew you had pulled the weight out of the car. I knew you had the car down to like 27, 20-something, 27, 25. And that's kind of the lightest you could get. And I want to address this too. Everybody says put a lighter driver in the car. Let me explain something to you. So, one, that car's not a Pro Mod. Let's just clear that up right now. It's a 107-inch wheelbase car. It's not a 114-inch wheelbase car. Those two cars run and drive and work completely different. The engine is setting in a higher location. The engine is setting in a different location from the mid plate to the rear end. It's just not a Pro Mod. It also doesn't have a roof that is chopped down. It doesn't have a body that is narrowed. Weight is weight. It doesn't matter what weight. If we all got to run at 26.25, it's 26.25. I don't care if you're in a fucking doom buggy or you're in goddamn prenup. But when you have those two chassis, they're completely different. Just like I think a Pro Mod would run completely different and have a lot of issues on a no prep track. I really believe that. So where that crankshaft is, unless they purposely build it like the no prep car, I think they'll fight some of that. But there is stuff you can do with making the 4-link change, with moving ballast around the car. There's stuff you can do. One thing I'll tell you, when everybody says put a lighter driver in the car, so here's what happens when you put a lighter driver in the car. The car's already nose heavy. And that's really the kind of problem we were fighting. Once we got the car go, it would get out there about 400 foot and it'd piss the tire off. And you were having to really drive it hard. And what happens is when you're driving, that car's moving and shaking down there, it's skating around, you're losing ET. You're not only losing ET, you're scrubbing off mile an hour doing that. So when you take you out of the seat, so we're at 27.25. We're 100 pounds overweight. That's what we tried. That's the lightest we could get. Now the car's pretty nose heavy from where we run it in no prep trim. The car's really happy because of what percentage we run on the rear and what percentage we run on the front end. I'm not going to disclose that, but that from what we run and what we learn. So now that we take that weight out of the car, now we're really heavy on the nose. So now it's pissing the tire off. So what happens is if you try to put a lighter driver in there, I'm just going to answer this for some of the Facebook people, put in a lighter driver in the car does us no good, although you think it would because we can make weight, but it doesn't. What it does is, like I said, it shifts more weight to the front end, and it's going to piss the car off even more. So like I was telling you, a lot of the comments I see, some of them I would actually reply to if I felt like, instead of some of the people out there being a know-it-all and think they know the problem, if they would just ask and be interested, I would definitely tell some of the people, and I would let them know, and I would entertain them. But when I see some of the comments that they know so much about making that car run, I just can't even entertain that, because that's just somebody knows more than me. So that's really why I don't reply to that kind of stuff. But like I said, in Orlando, we were fighting that problem. We're over here at Braden and we're running. And after that second pass, it shook out about 200 foot. So we went completely the opposite way. I knew the 4-link was right. I knew the car was right. I knew the wheelie bars were right. I knew the tires were right. I felt like the car was just pissed off. I felt like, and what happened is, I think on the second run, I made you weigh the nose of the car on the scales. I said, or no, actually, maybe it was the very first run. I scaled in the car, I weighed the nose weight, and you had actually pulled. So we were a little heavier in Orlando,
and I pulled the extra weight off.
You pulled 35 pounds off the car that I didn't know about. I didn't find out about it until I said
Kyle told on me.
Yeah, so
trying to get
me and Kyle had a one-on-one. I told Kyle, don't ever touch that fucking car again and do anything like that unless he talks to me. Because we had done made 2 hits, and I think you had it spun out. So I got back to the pit. We had 2 35-pound bars, and I told Kyle to put those 2 35s in there. I said, okay, so now we're throwing 70 in the car, and we already got 35. He's like, no. He said, I took that 35 out. And I said, who told you to do that? He said, Justin did. I said, don't ever listen to Justin again on that. I said, listen, you tell Justin to drive, you let me worry about the car. So I think we were double spun out because we were barely getting by in Orlando, and then we pulled weight out of the car because I knew you were trying to get down to weight. So we were just all jacked up.
And it was shaking the shit out of the car. It was breaking stuff.
So we threw 70 pounds in the car, and the first rip, that thing went 378. So, or actually, and I think we put the other 35 in there. So we put 105 pounds in the car, 378. So, and I think it went
201.
Yeah, 201. So it was a good rip. We were on our newer setup we changed again from Orlando. We changed the gear when you got there. So I felt like we were close in Orlando. We just didn't get it done. So we get over here, and like I said, we make our first rep, 378. So that was by far better than what we did all the rips we made in Orlando. And I told you in the text, I said, it's going to go 378. I really felt like it was going to run that. So then we got back. I looked at the data. I think we threw 30 more pounds in the car. I think at the end you were weighing like 28.25 or 28.30, something like that. So at that point, you're 200 pounds overweight. But the car was getting happier. We were getting weight on that rear axle, and it was getting happier. And what that allowed me to do, the weight slowed me down. But if I can't get after the car early on, it's a double-edged sword. So even if I take the weight out of the car and pissing the tire off, then I'm trying to hold the car back. And really, where these cars run, you can't be out there going 980, 990, 60 foot.
What do pro mods go?
Some of them out there went some high 930s. We went 950 flat. So, we were 1 thou off. Most of them were 940s. Those cars that went low 60s were running 940s. You went a 950 flat. So we were getting after it. But we were getting after it because we finally got weight back on the back of the tire again. Now, we weren't at NPK weight. At NPK, we're 2850, but even then, sometimes that track, I got to pile more weight in the car to get it calmed down. So it's just how you got to run the combo, and how you got to make it so that it's not so pissed off. So we got the weight in the car. We made the 378 rip. We come back. We look at the data. We like it. I told Justin, I said, man, I think it's going to run at 375 on this next rip. I said, if it goes down the track, I think it will. I tickled it enough, but I didn't want to abort a pass. That's the thing. If you abort any of the runs, you wasted your time, the crew's time, everybody's time, and you lose all that data. So you just can't swing for it. I know I was looking at the internet, and they're like, oh, they're fixing to go 365.
Turn it up.
Turn it up. I was turning it up every round. I'm thinking to myself, man, sometimes, man, what the fuck are they smoking, man? Dude, I'm running it hard, So, but you cannot go from a 375 to a 365 in an untested car that don't have that data. Like, it's not going to make the trip. You got to keep working on it. So we go out there, we make the next rip. It rips off a 375, exactly what I said it was going to run. We come back, few more tweaks on the car, and we're actually taking and we're raising the front end. We're doing stuff to try and make that car, we're trying to trick it to make it feel like it's different out there. And so, and by raising it up, we're moving the crankshaft up. We're doing different things out there. So we go out there, we go to make next rip, and I tell the guys, I said, I think it'll run a 73 right here. And we're in the lanes, and I remember something happened to the battery, master switch or something broke off. And right before that, I was like, man, I don't think we're going to get another qualifying round. I think this is it.
And the field dropped down to a 71.
Yeah.
It was at a 73. But.
It was at a 73. And we were sitting at a 75, so we were outside looking in. And I told you, I said, I think the bump's going to be a 71. So I was sitting up there, and I said, I think I can go 71. I really do. And I said, but, man, if it goes out there and shakes the tires, then we go home with a 75, and that's all we ran. I told Justin, I said, I remember radioing back to you. I said, man, I want to turn it up, but I think I really want to be able to at least run the 73. And I think you said, let's run the 73. We can't run with none of these guys. Even if we did qualify, we're a first-round duck. He said, we'd be number 32 qualifier, number 1. He's taking us out. We're going home. So let's at least run the 73. So we went out there, he lets go of the button. She rips off a 73 at like 203 mile an hour. So it made a good rip. So, leaving that race, we learned a lot. We got a lot of data off the car. We made a good run. I don't know what all those other NPK guys run out there. I got to think that Lizzie's car definitely can run low 70s. I guarantee you Ryan Martin's car can run low 70s, probably Daddy Dave. I think all of them can run it. If they get out there on the prep surface, all the stars are aligned. I think a lot of those cars are all going to run that same number. Are we running that out there on a no prep? No. We're running – I kind of felt like through the year, even on the good tracks, we're running between an 85 and a 90. That's what I thought that car was running. I honestly didn't know, but I felt like that's where we're running. I hear all the scuttlebutt through all the pits of everybody, what these times are running. Some of them times are just crazy, man. I'm going to be honest with you. There's times I feel like we're only running low 90s, and I really do believe that's where the car's running at. And we hit a few tracks like Virginia, Texas. Track was just really good. I felt like the car was dipping into the 80s. Might be running 87, 86, 88, something like that. But for the most part, I'm thinking low 90s is what that car's running all year long. So when you talk about what's the hardest part of the season, I think the hardest part of the season is everything together. Being away from your family, being away from work, working as hard as we did on the car, thrashing like we did. I really couldn't pinpoint one thing that's the hardest part about the season, because I think the whole season as a whole was just very tough. And I think it was not only tough on us, I think it was just as tough on all them other families and all the other racers out there, that went through the same thing. Now, some of them that didn't have to go home, go back to work because they actually race for a living, so yeah, they kind of catch a little bit of a break there, but you can't hate on them for it. That's their deal. More power to them. I'm happy for them. I'm not hating on them. If they got that going on, I think that's what you're trying to achieve right now. So you can't be mad about it.
What about, so we kind of got over talking about what was the hardest thing, I guess, part of the season. What was your biggest moment of the season? Like, what was like a proud moment for you? I know we won races and we've won races in the past and all that, but did you have any kind of like proud moments, like, damn, I made it or did something? Because you literally, this was a brand new combo. I came to you at the beginning of the season and told you we ran nitrous motors, and I told you that I wanted to switch combinations. We were selling the cars. We fire sealed stuff. I had Cameron build a car. I wanted to sell the Musi motor and move on to something different. And I've already told people, and people kind of already know, but the reason why is just, you'll agree with me. You're just not going to get the same stuff Lizzie has, which you shouldn't. They run it for a living. That's what they do. They're not going to give you.
And we don't know that for a fact, but that's what we believe.
But we're not talking on it. But that's just what Pat and them do for a living, and it's been proven. Kai's gotten his ass beat.
And I'll give you a good scenario.
Kai's gotten his ass beat.
Didn't Kai just get beat last night?
He did.
So here's the thing.
Liz, hold on, before you say that, Lizzie actually even made a post today and said that she let Kai leave to try to give him the win, and she drove around.
And here's the thing: they're basically the same cars, same application,
same weight,
tuner,
same tuner.
weight, and she let Kai leave. And at the 330, she caught him and drove around his ass and put a car and a half on him. That to me is horsepower. I don't care. So, if Kai's got the same horsepower as Lizzie, then he needs to be getting on Adam's ass because something went on right there. That's all I can tell you.
And that wasn't the only time. It happened a couple times. But nothing against it. Like I said, there's no different. Just like your line of work that you do construction, you're not going to go and tell the next guy how you do everything and then want him to go out and do it. He needs to learn it himself too. But anyways, at the beginning of the season, I said I wanted to switch combinations. I wanted to go with ProLine, ProCharger, Fuel Tech. Everything was brand new to us. So going through the season, learning the ProCharger, you've already mentioned it and said that the ProCharger is actually easier to tune than a nitrous motor is. Learning the Fuel Tech and everything. But was there any kind of like proud moments as in like, hey, I actually accomplished this or did something?
So not really in the NPK. There wasn't. I just felt like we were out there doing what we always do. Whether you class race, when you run X275, you ran Ultra Street, you ran LDR, and I think you won one of them at Donald's race or Outlaw Radio.
We ran ODR in there.
ODR, and then you run RVW, and then of course you grudge race. So you've won a lot of races. A lot of people don't know about you, but you've won a lot of races. You've won way more races than I ever won in my life. But you've won a lot of races, and you've won races at every level and every class that you ran, whether we were running a small block nitrous car, big block naturally aspirated car, all the way to the big mountain Musey motors. I had rare motors. You've won in every application that we've won. You've been able to put a car in a winner's circle. So one thing for sure, and even in the NPK, I knew it was tough going in, but I knew we could find our way to the winner's circles because if you work hard enough and you apply yourself and you put good people around you and you just keep digging, I believe sooner or later you'll find yourself. And that's what happened, that's what happened with Texas. We just kept running and kept getting there. And I knew sooner or later that car was going to find its way to the winner's circle. I actually felt like you was going to win another race, and you did. So, but going through the NPK, I don't think I really had any real proud moments that I can say, wow, we did this or we did that. I feel like we just went out there and gave the competition good competition. We worked hard and we dug and we never gave up. Now, the other night when you ran this 373 at 203, that was really a pinnacle moment for me. And the reason why I'll tell you this, because when I was leaving the starting line, I watch it. I don't know why. I don't never really get excited. I don't understand why I don't get excited. You could win the championship, and I wouldn't jump up and down. It wouldn't faze me. I would just like, okay, we won, and I'd move on. You know what I mean? I watch you beat a lot of racers and win, and for me, I take my headphones off and I turn around. I'm gonna go find the tuner on the other team. I'm gonna congratulate them, win or lose, and I'm gonna go back to the trailer and do work. That's just what I do. So I never really get excited, man. I mean, if you win a bit, I really don't. And I know that to be a fact. If the cameras are ever on me or whatever, I know they're never gonna see me down there hollering and jumping or celebrating it. That's just not what I do. And I don't know why I don't do it. I don't do it on purpose. It's just not what I do. I just, I see Brian and Sean and all of them, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Let's get back to the trailer. We got work to do. I guess that's just what I am. I'm always thinking about the next route, the next pass, the next race. I'm always thinking about what I can do. What can we do to make the car better? So for me, I just try to keep it all business. And it's not that I'm not happy. I'm just, it's just what I do, man. I don't understand why I do that. It's just what I do. So anyways, when I was walking back, Josh Lefford caught me over there. He was standing there with Brandon, and then Petty was over there. And, they were all telling me. And then even Dillard, I was coming back, and Dillard caught me over the side. And those are the top ProLine guys. And they all told me, they was like, man, that was a badass pass. He goes, we are blown away. That car just ran that. And we were even blown away. That thing went 203 mile an hour out there, and we know how much weight y'all are carrying. They said, man, you guys have really got that car hauling ass. He goes, y'all need to be really, really happy about that. So here's the other thing. What people don't understand is if that car, even if it had the 200 pounds out of it and the car was happy, that car probably would have run a 63, somewhere between a 62 and a 64, 63, 64, something like that. I literally believe the car would run that. So you would have run with the Pro Mods. You were just 200 pounds heavy. If you could have got the 200 pounds out of the car and had the weight ratio right, that car would run down there. Maybe give up one number because of the body. Maybe give up a mile an hour. You know, maybe it only goes 205 or 206. But if you were 200 pounds lighter, I'm telling you, that would have been a whole different story. But it is what it is. That's the car we have. That's the car we're running. We're not really there trying to race against the Pro Mod guys. We're just there getting data with our car. And that's really what it boiled down to. But for them guys to actually, and even Billy Stockland, you know, I was coming around the corner. Billy told me, he goes, hey, man, that was a fucking hell of a run. You know, so a lot of those big-time tuners to just acknowledge us, and at the end of the day, we're just some old plow boys, man. We're just old ditch diggers, man. You know, those guys swing a bat 365 days a year at this. They got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars. You know, they're working on, they got data they can plug back and forth. We don't have that. All we have is what we run. So, and we're working while those guys are actually racing. There's a big difference, man. You know, if we did something like that every single day, I'll be honest with you, I feel like I could run right up front with the best of the best with what I know and what you know. I mean, I really do, but we don't. So, you know, for what we do and we do on our own, I think we do very well. And the fact that we ran that number and didn't really, you know, reach out to get no help to run it. We just kept digging. And that's the thing. We didn't give up. We kept digging. We kept working. And it ended up running a really good number.
Do you think it would have went faster if you could have had another pass?
I believe I could have won a 71. I do. I went back and looked at the data. I believe I could have won a 71 before you went to 73, and I wanted to tickle it in a couple different spots, but I was also afraid it was going to rattle the tires. So do you
abort a run or do you make the run?
So do you put your ego to the side and grab that 73, or do you throw your ego out there and just go for that 71? So for me, I chose to run the 73 because I felt like you were not going to get that fourth qualifier. And if it shook the tires, then you were sitting on a 75. At least today you can walk away and say, hey, I went a 373. I was 200 pounds over Pro Mod weight, and I also went 203 mile an hour. You know, you wanted to run a 70. You wanted to go 200. We well above and beyond achieved that. So that was a great achievement for our team, for how hard we worked all year long. And we brought the car home in one piece. I mean, you know, I just think that was probably our pinnacle moment. I really do. I believe for us to go down there in the middle of those bloodhounds, and that's what they are. You know, at the end of the day, people said, I saw him beating on the internet, oh, he didn't qualify. He was number 34. Well, there was like 20-something other Pro Mods that didn't qualify. You know what I'm saying?
They were behind us.
I don't know what the hell they're smoking, man. There was like 20-something real legit Pro Mods that had the same shit we got or better race teams that did not fucking qualify. So, you know what I'm saying?
It was a tough field.
I mean,
number 1 was a 61 and number 32 was a 71. Yeah. So there was only a tenth that separated. I think there was a total of like 12 or 13 cars throughout the field that all went at 66.
Yeah, you
like
know,
they just had different increments.
The way I look at it, if we sucked, hell, they all sucked behind us. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we weren't trying to run with Pro Mods. We were trying to get our own data. That's really what it boiled down to. But, you know, another thing, get off subject of that. I want to touch base on the Colorado deal. So, you know, that whole thing with you and Kai and them. And I know, so it started in Arizona. And, you know, you had said that, hey, Kai's going to try and run Jerry Bird and them, but it's not legal. You know, he said, and I remember you telling me at Throww, he said, if they do that, I'm going to protest them. He goes, now, I told him up there at the driver's meeting when they were pulling chips that I told Kai, that's not a smart move if you do that. So I just want to clear up. I think a lot of people, some of them watch the show and some of them don't. I don't understand because, you know, I do remember in that deal, Kai said he didn't know, but when the first show aired or the second show, when the first or the second show aired, Kai Kelly himself spoke about that you cannot draw your your teammate. If you do, he's got to make his trip in his own car on his own power. He literally said it on TV
and then forgot it.
And I guess he went brain dead. I don't know. You know, I mean, so And even Scott Taylor talked about it. So they knew about it. There's no way they can say they didn't know. Now, I know they brought up and they said, well, you guys tested, at I think we tested at Orlando
before West Palm Beach.
And listen, so we acknowledge that, but we honestly did not know. Just like I think Ryan Martin tested at a track that he didn't know.
So did Lizzie.
Jeff Lutz. And Kai and Jeff Lutz. A lot of them tested. But what happened is nobody really knew about that. And after you protested Kai, then Pat protested. First it was Kai, but really Pat pushed Kai to do it. So Kai protested. Then he backed out. Then Pat kept his protest, and he basically screwed Mike Marilla, and he screwed Birdman. So and then they turned around, and instead of being a man and taking that heat, they blamed you for it. So here's what I don't understand. You told Kai in the driver's meeting. Everybody says, "Oh, well, Justin, he didn't tell him." Well, you did. I saw it on TV, and I remember you telling me. I didn't know you told him.
And that was an edit that they did. I literally told them like to their face.
Yeah. So obviously, you told them, and then you also remember. I remember you telling me. You said Bobby Ducati come to me and said, "Hey, man, Kai loaned Jerry Bird his motor, and he's just going to drive it down through there." So Kai gets them points. And you said, okay, cool. That's legal.
That's legal.
That's not what happened. When they came to the drivers, or they come up here to the starting line, Jerry and Daryl and them didn't have a car.
They tried to go rent a
car. But that car didn't show up, or if it did or did. Anyways, that's when you brought up, said, I'm just letting you know, you're not getting those 5 points. I told you about it in the chip draw not to do it. And it's illegal.
Because he was just trying to get an easy round.
Yeah, he's trying to get them easy 5 points. And I know Kai, he got all pissy about it and said he's loading his car up. He said, I lost last year by 5 points. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know what kind of fucking math they do over there, but I looked it up, and Ryan Martin had like 235 points or 245 points or maybe 255. Kai had like fucking 170. So I don't know what kind of fuzzy math he's doing talking about 5 points, but he wasn't nowhere near close to winning that fucking championship, and he didn't lose that championship by 5 fucking points either. Everybody can go look up the third year, look up championship points, and you'll see. If Kai lost by 5 points, then he better not be telling his old lady he's got a damn 10-inch Peter, because he don't. But here's the thing. So, they all pissed off. Then they decided to race, yada, yada, yada. Then in Colorado, of course, I wasn't up there. I'm back at the trailer. I'm doing work. I'm working on the car. Some of those guys need TV time. Some of them don't. I honestly think, in my opinion, it's really for the racers, But I know some of them other guys, they just got to be out there. When you came back to the trailer in Colorado, you didn't even tell me that none of that happened up there. I didn't know. So I actually found out. I didn't find out until it was later on in the race. I had a buddy of mine there. And he had told me, he said, hey, man, did you see what happened up there at the starting line? I said, no, what happened? He said, in the chip draw, did Justin tell you what happened up there? I said, no. He said, man, him and Pat and Kai and all them, they got into it pretty heavy. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, man, they got into it. I said, well, what happened? And he's like, oh, it was pretty heavy. He goes, actually, I thought, in case something was going to happen, I might have to, just make sure, he said, but he goes, I didn't have to do nothing. He goes, Justin took care of himself. He goes, there wasn't nobody trying to do anything stupid up there. Justin was ready for it, and he handled himself. So I didn't think no more about it. But I did see that just when was it, last night?
The last night for episode.
So I just seen it for the first time. So, I think with Pat, him trying to blame you for that is just chicken shit. I'm just going to be honest with you.
And that's what I told them.
So here's the other thing, too. So something happened between me and Pat, and I didn't even know what happened between me and Pat. I do know now. So I know it was because of all that. I remember I seen the video, too, of down at the end when Lizzie had finished her race racing whoever, and Jeff Lutz beat us. Where did he beat us at, Arizona?
Colorado. He beat us last night.
Okay.
Which they didn't show this part on the show. But.
Okay, so in Colorado, Pat was sitting in there and saying, fuck yeah, Jeff Lutz. Fuck yeah. And he's over chanting Jeff Lutz. Now, Jeff don't run his motor. Jeff's on Team NOLA, and Pat is just acting like a fucking moron.
Jeff's on Team 405.
Jeff's on Team 405, and he, fuck yeah, you fuck Jeff Lutz, because he outran you. And I literally saw it on the video, and I was like, man, what the fuck? Why is he making an ass out of himself like that? So then he's literally looking at you, go Jeff Lutz, just looking like a fucking clown. So at the end of the day, if that's what Pat Musey wants to be, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But moving forward from that race to Texas, and one thing I was proud that you didn't retaliate to that dumb shit. At the end of the day, he's a grown-ass man. And at the end of the day, in my opinion, he's just a sore loser. He's a sore loser because I think you beat Lizzie 3 times this year. Lizzie never outran you. So, and I think because you protested Kai, which you should have, he should not got those free points. And I know you even told him when they said, oh, well, you did this. And you said, okay, let's go back. If y'all want to do that, let's take everybody's points. You was only going to lose 5 points. Lizzie was going to lose 15 or 20. Kyle was going to lose 15. I think Ryan won a race. Everybody was going to lose a lot of points except for you.
And then they got thrown under the table.
Once you said, hey, let's go back and let's take all them points away, everybody shut the fuck up. Nobody talked about it no more. So at the end of the day, though, I don't think you can really go back and do anything like that. If you're going to protest, you got to protest at the race. Kai said, you did him wrong. What would have been doing Kai wrong would have been letting him make the race and protesting him after he run. He would have got DQ'd for doing that. So that would have been the wrong. You did the right thing by telling them up front. They chose not to do it and ignore it, and then they tried to act stupid whenever it come up that, hey, he ain't going to get these points. So at the end of the day, like I said, Pat, with him and his antics down there at the end of the track, I was proud that you didn't retaliate to him. I mean, I seen you look over him and was like, I knew what you were thinking, but you just kept to yourself, did your own thing, and you got in your car and we took it back to the track. I do know when you beat Lizzie, I remember I got down there. I remember you going up and congratulating Lizzie, telling her good job, good race. And I heard our crew, and I know even I did. I said, hey, good race, Lizzie. What I'm saying is, man, we don't race like that. We are the same people on the track, off the track, at home, working. It doesn't matter what the camera shows. We will be 100% the same every time. And I believe a lot of those people that run are not the same. I believe they're.
Oh, I've seen that this year.
They're hey buddy, hey top doggy, but the stuff I've seen on camera is not that way. And I'm glad that you, our crew, my family, you're not going to see none of that out there. You're going to see exactly who we are, 100% every time. Now, as far as Kai still blaming you about those points, that's just fucking crazy. Kai just got his feet held to the fire, which he should have. And because Pat protested them, that had nothing to do with you. And the whole deal with Pat down there acting like an idiot, down there, go Jeff Lutz, fuck yeah, Jeff. That was just some dumbass bullshit is what that is. And so leading into Texas, I didn't even know me and Pat had a problem. So when I was going underneath the tower, we made eye contact, and I've always been good friends with Pat. I reached out to fist bump him, and he looked straight ahead and shunned me. Like he didn't even acknowledge me. And I turned around, I said, really? I said, okay. I just kind of laughed, shucked it off. So at the end of the day, through this season, because of that, I guess me and Pat aren't friends no more. And that's fine. I don't give 2 fucks. So I'm good with that. At the end of the day, as long as Pat knows, I don't want to fuck with him, but he don't want to fuck with me. Because I'm telling you, one thing we're not in fucking New Jersey, and I don't give a fuck about people's court. I've heard all that bullshit long enough. So as long as he leaves me the fuck alone, we'll be okay. But if he ever crosses me, I'm going to bust his ass. That's just all there is to it.
So coming off of that, anyways, I was excited about the season and beating Lizzie. She's a top tier performer. Ryan, he's actually probably one of the best on the no prep. So every time he would bust our ass, we would get faster and he would beat us again. And then I actually even told you, because there was a couple times you told me if you leave on him, he's not going to beat us. And then I would leave on him and he would drive around, but three times. And we were having issues. We were shaking down the track, and that was the 4 link you were wanting to change. And me and you butted heads, and we've gotten a lot better. And I have actually seen it a lot better. Like I have a lot more. I've always had confidence, but I have a lot more confidence, just like you have confidence in me. So,
well, I think what we learned this year is I've always let you drive the car, and no matter what, but I'll give you my opinion, and I'll say, hey, maybe you should do this, but whatever you want to do, you go. You're good. And there's a lot of times like when I got tune-ups in there, man, I don't know. I don't want you to lose. I don't want to fuck you up either. And I'm like, dude, there's 4 of them. Any, mini, miny, mo. Pick them. Do it. You make the call. And I'm good with that. So, but I think what we learned is you let me do my job because I let you do your job. And if we can do that, then we will be a better team. We will race better. And there's times that, I'm going to step on my dick, and that's all there is to it. I think you always do a really good job in the car. You always do a good job outside of the car. You're always working on your motor, or you're freshening your motor up. You got that shit handled. For me, it's a lot of late nights. It's a lot of thinking. It's a lot of trying to think outside the box. It's a lot of not trying to be complacent. It's a lot of just trying to make sure we make a move to make that next step to get faster or to be ahead of the competition. And that's what I do. So I think that's where me and you kind of had our blow up in Orlando. I felt like we were over to Orlando. It's time, I wanted to do it in the no prep, and we didn't. And then me and you kind of had a falling out over to Orlando. And I'm glad that we, you actually left the track. You was mad. I was mad. We were going to not race. And you came back, and, we made the changes I felt like the car needed. And it actually went out and it performed. And it did. And it helped us to get to that 73, because if we'd have stayed set up like we weren't going to get there. But, hey, man, that's life in general. That's a stepping stone and a learning lesson for you, because trust me, I went through this with my father, and the only way you get to where us older guys are is by having experience and knowledge. Experience is key and knowledge is valuable. So, all the years when you're driving that car and I'm collecting that data, it's knowledge that I'm gaining, and it's stuff that I'm always thinking outside the box to try and make that car faster. The guys in the pits are not going to tell you. That's just the way it is. I mean,
yeah, you got to go do it yourself.
That's right. You got to figure it out. They might tell you something, they're going to steer you in the wrong direction. So we got to just kind of keep grinding and doing our own thing and do good, man. That's just all there is to it.
What about the
Hey, but I will tell you what I said about Pat. I really do hope that me and Pat can bury the hatchet. And I hope that me and Pat don't go to blows.
Me and Pat did.
Yeah, and I know.
And Bradenton.
I heard, and I'm thankful for that. I'm glad that you and Pat. And if Pat don't, if he don't like me, if he don't ever want to speak to me again, that's fine. But I'll just tell you, I'm a grown fucking man. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably glad I wasn't over there in Colorado watching all them fingers being pointed like that. So I'm not that motherfucker. So that's just where it's at. So hopefully me and Pat can bury the hatchet, and we move on from that, and I'm willing to move on from that, and I believe Pat's better than what I seen.
Yeah,
and I'll be honest with you, I've known him a long time. I believe he got caught up in the moment. I believe he got caught up on TV, and I'm okay with giving him a hall pass. And I hope that me and Pat can bury that hatchet, and we can move on from it. And if we don't, that's all right too.
And I think they all are too. Even Kai, Kai, the episode that aired last night happened a couple months ago. Like I told Kai, it's on him.
I'm going to be honest with you. Kai may not, he's going to know it sooner or later. You made Kai a better racer.
Well, I would have done that.
And better for doing that.
And that's why, and I can't say I would have done it to everyone. I would have definitely done it if
anybody in front of you.
In front of me. And that's why I tried to tell him, because a lot of people, there was a couple crew members, Geet and all them, Murillo, they're like, well, they blamed me for their protest, and they're like, well, why didn't you care about Murillo Birdman? Well, because they were. Well, no, it had nothing to do with what I'm saying. They were 17 fucking spots behind me. Had nothing even to do. It was about points. They weren't
really that far, were they?
No.
Bullshit.
No, they were.
But either way, you're only concerned who's in front of you because you're running for a championship.
And he shouldn't get the free points. So that's the whole point of the whole entire deal. And actually, people are going to see that when it comes down to Bradenton at the end of the year.
Here's what I'll tell you.
5 points.
Here's what I'll tell you. People, I had told people, because that was the whole thing. They were all saying, well, Justin didn't say nothing. I said, listen, man, all I can tell you, I wasn't there. Justin told me that he told him in a driver's meeting not to do that. That was not a wise choice. Don't do that. He also told me that Bobby said that they were putting that motor over there. And when I saw, and listen, I knew for a fact Justin didn't lie to me. If my son tells me something, he tells me something. Just like when we had the light issue with Robin Roberts and that altercation, Justin told me that where I pulled the car and moved the car at the track, the pillar, he couldn't see the lights. And he sat there as long as he could, and he just let go of the button. And that's exactly what happened. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. One thing I know about Justin, he is not going to lie. He's not the racer that's going to race you dirty. He wasn't raised that way. He's not going to race that way, and he's going to tell you the truth. If he fucked up, he's going to tell you he fucked up, straight up. So at the end of the day, when you told me what happened up there on the line, and when I saw air, exactly what you told me verbatim is exactly what happened. I mean, my eyes, I believe what my eyes seen on the TV, straight up. I believe, and I saw you tell them, don't do that. And then I saw Bobby tell you that. So what you told me was 110% true. Just like I didn't know that Pat did what he did to you at the end of the track. I didn't know about that either. I saw it on the fucking TV. So, and listen, I get it, man. You don't tell me a lot of shit. I understand that. You know, I'm a hothead. I'm not. You're not. You're a lot like me, but you're not a lot like me. So at the end of the day, I appreciate how you are. I appreciate that you're calm, you're cool, you're collected, and you don't have to carry yourself the same way I carry myself. I don't understand a lot of things like that because, you know, my mind don't go up high enough. I only know, you know, fuck it, let's fight, or, you know, something else. And it's a wrong and it's a bad quality that I have, but I own it. So I try to stay away from a lot of people with some of that shit because I'm just not that guy. And that's just the way I am. That's how I'm built. That's how my father raised me. You know, I'm not going to play grab ass like that. Simple as that, man. So even when me and Chuck, when we went down there, I just told him that was some fucked up shit he did. I didn't go down to Chuck because I just know how I am. Regardless of who Chuck is or what Chuck's going to do, I know who I am as a person. I know what I will do. Regardless if I get the shit beat out of me or whatever, I know bad shit's going to happen. So I chose to take the high road with Chuck. If Chuck would have come down to me, we would have addressed that shit right then and there. You know that and I know that. But at the end of the day, I'm not trying to fight nobody out there, and I'm not. I don't want nobody hit me, and I don't want to hit nobody else. That's just the bottom line. I'm not trying to fight with nobody. But I believe as all men, we got a certain space, and you shouldn't invade that space, and there's just a certain way you should carry yourself. And you know, I'm just not a guy that's going to play any of those kind of games. And I'm happy that you're not like that, and I'm happy that you're calm, you're cool, you roll a lot of that shit off your back, you don't let it get to you. But I did see the other side of you, which I always knew in Colorado. You know right from wrong, and you held their feet to the fire, and they didn't like it, but that's okay. You made them all better racers because of it. Regardless of what they say or think, even Pat, they all will be better racers because of that. And I'm glad that you did it too.
So going... Basically, we'll get off the subject about the NPK and all that because we already ran through all that. We did a great season. Moving this past weekend was our last race. Moving forward, we're building a new car, Camaro with Cameron Johnson race cars. What do you expect for next season and with that car and going into season 5 of NPK?
So, depending on when the new car gets done. And again, I'm not paying for shit. I just want to let y'all know that. He can build 10 fucking cars. As long as I ain't got to pay for one, I don't care. Ain't my problem. I don't even know how much it costs. Not my problem. I buy fuel for the rig, and I pay for my old lady's plane ticket, or she pays. Well, Mama pays for everything. I just want to let you know she pays for us. But and that's about it. Justin carries everything, so he can buy all the race cars he wants. He can buy all the parts he wants. I don't give a shit because they ain't cost me a dime. But anyways, I think with you building a new car, depending on when it gets done, you know, whether we run that or no, prenup is a great car. It's going to be hard for me to switch to the new car because prenup is so well worked out. Not only do I have tune-ups and I have settings in that car, whether it's the tire pressure, it's the wheelie bar height, whether it's the 4-link adjustment in the car, it's the shock data. We have that info at a lot of those tracks right now. So that car is well dialed in. It will be hard. And I can tell you, see what Scott Taylor's going through right now. Scott Taylor had a pretty good season, and he still did well. But when he got in that new car, he struggled bad. And it's just not that easy, man. It takes work. You got to caress them things. You got to massage them. You got to work on them. So I don't know, man. You may have to run the whole NPK season with prenup unless we're just junk. it is what it is. We'll probably start with a new car. But if you're running good and you're in contention, or if you're somewhere where you think we can get there, you're probably going to have to run prenup the whole season. And then when they do that, when they do the America's List street list, we will take prenup and go straight to the streets, and we'll start testing a new car for NPK. We got to do what's best for you and your program and your team. And prenup might be the way. I mean, prenup is a proven car right now. I believe in that car. I believe, I even told Cameron, when Saturday night, and he was like, man, I can't believe y'all went that fast. And I told Cameron, I said, man, that car, it's like, it's got a mind, when I tell it what to do in the computer or in the suspension, that car reacts. That's a good car. We've only had a few cars like that. Apocalypse was one of them, and the Armageddon car that you had, those two cars. So not every car is a good race car. I'm a firm believer in that. It don't matter who builds or how. They're just some cars, when you got a special car, it's a special car. And that's exactly what prenup is. Prenup is, to me, that's a special car. That car works really, really well. I've seen a lot of cars struggle getting down the track, and where prenup, I remember you even telling me how bad the track was, and nobody's going down track. And I'd tell you, I said, man, don't worry about that. I said, we're fixing to make a rip. And we wouldn't even turn it down. And that fucking car would go right down through there. I mean, where people weren't even making a pass. I don't even think we only aborted maybe a couple of runs.
That's what I said. We aborted more runs at Bradenton than we did all season. On a prep surface.
And in Orlando.
Yeah, so we didn't abort a lot of runs there. And that's why I try to tell people. I mean, Cameron has built me a good car, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into the car. The late nights that we put in to make the car work, the late nights that you put in to make the tune-ups and everything work.
The phone calls to Marty Chance, the phone calls to Steve with Quick Drive, the phone calls to Mark Menser with shocks. I mean,
everything goes into it, Liberty and all. And I've surrounded myself around great people. And even having you, our crew, Big Daddy Brian, you got Kyle. We're bringing on Kyle full time next year. I got Eric, I got Art, I got Tony. The whole crew. They have gotten better over the season, and they know what they need to do to be able to accomplish what we need to be able to keep ahead of the pack. But and that's why I try to tell people, and even Cameron understands it too. Just by building a new car doesn't mean you're going to go to the front of the.
That's what I was fixing to say.
So just by building a new car does not mean you're just going to go to the front. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it.
So, and here's the thing I was going to tell you. So I can remember when Cameron called me. He's like, "Hey Corey, where do you want to put the 4-link at?" I said, "Just throw the bars in there." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Buddy, I'll set the car up." And he's like, "Well, just tell me where." I said, "I'll set the car up."
And I like Cameron too, but he was one
that's nothing personal, but we've worked hard. I mean, and we've worked very hard to learn what we learned. I can't just take my setup and our setup that we learned and just stuff in other cars. Cameron's a chassis guy. He shouldn't have to set that chassis up. Whoever's running that car needs to know.
He just needs to build the chassis and move it on.
And the thing is, he'll give you a starting point,
and that's
but
it.
After that, you got to get it. So,
and there's other cars that's getting built over there right now, and me and Cameron have already talked about it.
Yes.
And I've even told him, I mean, I'll tell it, Monza, Clay Cole, and all of them, they're getting cars built. Jamie Hancock's getting a car built. And I'm not saying our setup's way better than anybody else's, but our setup does work. And different setups have different deals for different applications. But I did tell Cameron that where they're putting their stuff, they need to go run their car for a whole season, figure out their information, and then go build another car like I'm doing.
And here's the thing that we've learned over the years. So Danny brought his car down from Michigan. We put the car in the shop, and Danny, I think he was on your podcast last week.
Yeah.
Danny's a good friend of mine. So, he's got a big Music 959, makes a ton of power. We know all about that power plant, what it does, everything, drive line, everything. I think he had that car built at Race Car Specialties. Is that it?
Yeah.
Joe Peters. So phenomenal car, beautiful car from one end to the other. There was, and I know me and Joe talked about when the car was being built, this, that, and the other, but there were some things I couldn't just tell Joe what to do. And that was one thing about the suspension, how the car set, how it was going to run. So when we got it down to the house there, we put the car up. There were some things I didn't like about it. Some things I didn't think was going to work. And it's nothing against Joe. Joe, let me tell you something. That car is a fucking show car. I mean, when I tell you that car is beautiful, that car is a beautiful car. But there were some things in there that I just felt wasn't right, that we need to make some changes. And I literally hated to tell Danny that. But Danny and Justin, they took the car over to Cameron's, and they had to take some stuff out and redo some stuff and make that car where it was at. And again, I didn't my setup wasn't in the car yet. And Cameron didn't call me and ask for a setup because he already knew who I am. He knew I would set the car up. We got the car back. We set the car up. We went to the track. The first rip that car went out there, you know, the car did exactly what it's supposed to do. I mean, it carried the wheels, drove straight down the track, and it made a really, really fast rip right out the gate. So that is stuff that we learned, me and Justin learned with his radial tire car, and we hadn't run a radial tire in a year and a half. So with a big motor, you know, so that's something that we learned from our setups, and that's the stuff we do. It's not being a dick. It's even like, okay, so this year I helped, and I try not to help any of the guys, but sometimes when I see that they're really, really struggling out there, I will try to help them. I've even helped Daryl and Jerry Bird on some stuff that they got going on, and it's because they're great guys, you know, and not that I want to put my tune-up in the car and they get better and better, and then they come out run me with the same shit that me and Justin worked on for a lot of time, so I can't do that. But there were some things they had going on that I could try and help them with and help their program a little bit better. No different than when I helped Eric Bain. So Eric Bain wrecked his car, and he came back with that old car. Well, that old car, the 71 split nose, that thing was doing some crazy shit out there. I saw it, and I was like, as soon as I saw it leave, I was like, man, that you know, and I got with Marty Merritt, and Marty's over there working with him. So at the end, I think it was late that night, I went over there and I basically dropped the whole 4-link, changed it around, got it set up so the car could rip down the track. You know, and that's the kind of things that I'll try to do. No different than when I helped, who's the guy from Michigan? What's his name?
I know you're talking about Orange Mustang.
Johnny Quick.
Johnny Quick.
So another one, you know, that car was like getting out of there, moving all over, doing this. And I talked to another thing, Marty Merritt's friends with them. So I kind of said, man, you know, I think it needs to go this way. Come down, I said, Marty, I looked out, I said, hey, man, do this, do that. And, you know, me and Marty's really good friends. In fact, Marty builds rear ends for Justin. So obviously I'm going to help Marty. He helps us, I'll help him. So I said, hey, man, I think if you do this, you know, that car will get straightened right out. But then Johnny's tune-up, and listen, I just been kind of learning my way with the Pro Charger deal. But, you know, that thing was like kind of crazy out there. So he's like, will you just come over and look at my tune-up? And I said, yeah, but and here's the thing. I don't feel like they were right on top of us, and I wouldn't build a tune-up of what we're running, but I would get him going in the right direction and then tell him, hey, here, take this and run with it and go to work. So I looked at his tune-up, and man, it was fucked up. I'm not going to lie. I was like trying to, and I was like, and I finally just told him, I said, man, I'm just going to build you a whole nother tune-up. If it don't work, don't use it. I said, but I don't know what you got going on here. I said, but I'm just going to do something different. So I actually did build a tune-up for the car, and it went out there, and it ripped out hard. And actually, he told me that was the fastest pass he'd made out there. So, you know, I got him going in that direction, and I'm sure, you know, he's probably working on the car now. But, you know, that's the thing I try to do. I try it because I know what it's like. I know the struggles, man. And I hate to see somebody out there struggling so bad that they're out in left field. And if I can just give them a little bit of a tip or a little pointer and get them going in the right direction and they can take that ball and run with it, I'm okay with that. You know, the top tier guys, yeah, obviously I wouldn't go over and help them because they're already there, you know, and that's the thing. I think all those guys can get there, but you just got to keep digging. You got to keep grinding. You know, one of the cars I saw that progressively looked like it got better throughout the year is Jim Howe and them, which, you know, I've never helped Jim, but it looked like he got better and, you know, he struggled. And there's a lot of times I felt bad for him. He was just having engine problems and having this and that and the other. But, you know, the thing about it is he don't have no quit in him. I see them guys, they're always over there working on it. So they're going to figure it out. And I even think I heard something about he might be building a new car. So that's going to help his operation out tremendously. He's out there with an older car. He's probably building a purpose-built car. You know, I think Dean, Stinky Pinky's building a new car. That's going to be a huge difference, a purpose-built car. And I think that's what helped us. You know, we had some of them older cars, and we rearranged them. We tried them out. And, yeah, we ran fast, but we didn't run like we run now. You know, you making the decision to get rid of your other two cars you had and just getting one car, and it cost you a lot to do that. And, you know, you had to fire sale it, but it was the right move. That's really, by you building that new car is the only reason why we ran like we ran. We wouldn't have run with the older cars like that, and we just wouldn't have. Simple as that.
Well, anyways, I think that's enough for the night. We've talked about a lot of stuff. I'm glad you came on.
That should have been a couple podcasts.
I know. But we're going to do a lot more. If y'all want to see him more on podcast videos, drop a comment down below. I know a lot of people like you on the channel and everything. We just started up this whole Swan Talk podcast deal. But I'm happy with it. If you haven't done it already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. This thing's steadily growing. It's doing bigger, better things. I got a couple people that is going to be flying in, special guests, trying to get on. And one I've been talking to is Alex Taylor. She's going to come in here and do a special guest deal with us. But I was glad I would be able to have my dad on, talk about some things, talk about the season. We got some cool stuff happening next year. We're done with the season for this year. We ran a 373 personal best. I was happy to be able to get in the 70s. We went deep into the 70s. We got some stuff that we're going to be changing around and bringing to y'all next month. We'll talk about later on in the next couple weeks. But, yeah, thank you for coming on, and hopefully next year is just as good as this year. I mean, I know you wanted to win the championship, and I wanted to win too, but the last thing I look at it, I feel like if we would have won the championship this year, we would have had nothing to progress to the next year. People would have expected us to win again. So us coming in third place, at least we have 2 slots that we can go up or possibly win.
And Ryan's clearly the guy to beat.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He'll be the guy to beat next year.
I mean, I heard a rumor that he made over 200 passes this year, and we made a total of 110.
He put in the work. You can't be mad at that.
He tested and everything, and he'll always be the one that's going to be up front.
Absolutely.
But I think we got the team, the combo, and everything to run right there with him, and he does too. So
that's right.
He respects us, we respect them. But anyways, guys, make sure y'all subscribe to the podcast, turn the bell notifications on. We will be on Spotify and Apple here soon. I'm still trying to figure out how all that works. But I'm Justin Swanstrom, and I'll see y'all later.
One more thing. Pat, I'm not mad at you, babe. Hopefully we can work it out. But I'm just letting you know, this ain't people's court, and we ain't in motherfucking New Jersey. So leave that bullshit alone, and we'll work it out.
All right, guys. See y'all later. Good night.